please make sure you read and fully understand this disclaimer before participating in the class. Welcome everyone to a hip opener class. This is going to be a nice, gentle class. So coming into Supta Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees apart. You can have support in Supta Baddha Konasana by placing something underneath the thighs. So maybe some blocks or a cushion. And then coming onto your back, resting the right hand onto the belly and the left hand across the heart. Just relaxing the elbows down onto the mat. Softly closing over the eyes. And at any stage, if this is too much for the hips, you can take the soles of the feet onto the mat, keeping the knees bent and breathing for a couple of breaths, and then coming back when you are ready. So coming into Vipassana, centering breath. Notice the quality of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. Notice the length, the depth, the direction. And slowly start to lengthen the breath. Not forcing anything here, nothing should be uncomfortable. Just noticing the rise of the belly as you inhale and the fall of the belly as you exhale. And coming into Vritti Pranayama breath. So noticing the count of the inhale and matching that with the exhale. So if the inhale count is for 3, 2, 1, matching the exhale for 3, 2, 1. So concentrating on the counts of the breath. Maybe you can come up to 4 counts or even 5. Just making sure that the inhale and the exhale match in the counts. And continuing with this Samavritti Pranayama, and simultaneously on the exhale breath, imagine that you're releasing any tension that you may be holding within the body. So if there's any way that you can relax and soften into this asana by using the breath as our tool. Helping us to come into the body, into our practice today. And then slowly releasing the hands now, taking the hands to the outside of the legs and drawing the knees into one another. Taking the left knee into the left hand, knee into the right hand, sorry about that. And then taking them closer into the body on the inhale, pushing them either side away from one another, and then away from the body on the exhale, and then drawing them back together. So taking some circles. We're lubricating through the hip joint, so take your focus and attention into that area. Notice how the hips are feeling today. And then And slowly releasing the feet down onto the mat. Taking your hands behind the knee creases, rocking on the spine, forwards and back. Massaging through the back, taking your focus, awareness, attention into that part of the body now. Notice how it feels. And then building up enough momentum to roll all the way over onto all fours. And then once you are here, separating through the knees, toes together, releasing the hips down to the heels, coming into Balasana, Child's Pose. Let the forearms relax onto the mat. Soften into this space. And taking the breath all the way down to the base of the spine. And slowly coming up, we're going to take some rotations of the hips here. So coming forward over to the left side, sweeping the heart over toward the right, and then coming back down into Child's Pose. So if you need a visualization, please look at the screen now just to see what I am doing. And taking 3 rotations in the opposite direction, coming to the right side first, and then surrendering the hips down onto the heels. Inhale as we come up. Exhale as we release down. Maybe nodding the head from side to side, massaging through the forehead. And then when you're ready, coming back up into a comfortable tabletop position, 4-point kneel. Preparing ourselves for cat-cow. So inhale, dipping through the belly, tailbone up toward the ceiling. Exhale, doming through the back. So we've done this a few times throughout all of our practices if you're joining in each day. So you know what we're doing here is we warm up through the spine. Maybe even noticing how different it feels from day one doing the cat-cow rounds of breath. Noticing the breath as it comes down to the base of the spine. And cow pose, and exhale, really releasing all of that air. And coming into downward facing dog. Again, you've done this many times throughout the series, so again, just taking note of how the body feels. Maybe swaying the hips from side to side. Inhale, right leg rises, 3-legged dog, bending through the knee, sole of the foot toward the ceiling. Then taking the knee toward the body, away onto the right hand side, and then back up. So again, in this position, we're opening up through the hips, lubricating through the hips. So it's important to, increase that synovial fluid that's around the joints so we don't have bone on bone. Taking the left leg up, bending through the knee, and again taking rotations here in the hip, getting deep within the hip, not forcing anything here, just lubricating through that joint for our practice today. And then releasing down into Balasana, Child's Pose again. So as I said, this is a really nice slow down, gentle practice today. I really want you to come into your body, into yourselves as much as possible today. And coming back, transitioning consciously into downward facing dog, and then slowly walking the feet up towards the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Stepping the right leg back, releasing the knee, untucking the toe, coming into low lunge. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. On your exhale breath, releasing the hands onto the hips. And see if you can surrender the hips down toward the mat. So they're not on the mat, but you're just simply releasing, softening through that space. Then slowly releasing the hands on toward the mat, or you may need some blocks here, and slowly, consciously letting that tailbone, sit bones come toward the back. Be mindful of the hamstring of the left leg here, so you may need a bend in that left leg. Again, the use of props is really, really helpful in this pose. Notice if you're rounding off through the back, so heart is open, nice straight back. And then slowly coming back to lunge, and then releasing that left leg back, coming into downward facing dog. Inhale onto your tippy toes, bending through the knees, walking the feet up toward the front of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding forward. Stepping the left leg back this time, releasing the knee onto the mat, untucking the toes. Inhale, sweeping the arms up. Exhale, releasing the hands onto the hips. Checking your alignment with your right knee. Is it directly above the right ankle? If it isn't, just making some adjustments here. Making sure that the knees, the hips are all square. So alignment here, releasing the hands onto the mat mindfully, starting to shift the sit bones back, stopping wherever your limitations and ranges are. So I'm coming into half Hanumasana, but I just want you to make sure that you don't cause any damage to your hamstrings. Trust me, I've been there, I've done that, it's not nice. Slowly coming back, releasing the hands, picking up through that back knee, coming into plank, and then downward facing dog. And then slowly releasing down into tabletop position. Bending through that knee, taking the sole of the right foot up toward the ceiling, and taking some rotations, that hip socket. So similar to what we did in downward facing dog. And then again on the other side, really noticing how the hips feel. Visualize, sense and see what the hips are doing. Also see what other parts of the body are doing. Is the core relaxed? Slight engagement here, helping us to stabilize through the spine as well. And then this is a really funny part. I could edit this out, but I thought I'm just going to keep it in here because in my classes I have a bit of my personality coming out and I just don't know what I was doing. I think I was going to prepare for pigeon, but I'm not. So making your way over onto Baddha Konasana. So coming onto your sit bones, soles of the feet together. You can have your hands beside the body, just behind the thighs to elongate through the spine. So we want to open up through the heart, through the spine. Crown of the head is lengthening up toward the ceiling. Or you can interlace your fingers, placing them around your toes or even holding onto the ankles. Just making sure that the heart isn't collapsing here. So we don't want to round out through the back. We want to make sure that we've got a nice open heart. So the spine is nice and long. We inhale, lengthen through the spine, exhale, hinging forward. So the purpose here is to open up through the hips. It isn't about getting the head down toward the mat. It's more about really feeling that opening, that deep opening into the hips. There's no tension in the lower back. That's when you can release the head. So being mindful of the back here. In all of my classes, I encourage students to listen to their limitations of their own body. It's not about what it looks like, it's about what it feels like. On your next inhale breath, slowly coming back, up, and then coming into a Sukhasana, easy pose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our right ankle, right heel, placing it in front, and then the heel is directly in the middle line. Then we're taking a deep inhale breath, lengthening through the spine. Exhale, hinging forward. So you should feel sensations in the outside of the right hip. If you're feeling any pain or discomfort in the spine, I want you to come back up. You've gone way beyond your limit. Notice what the shoulders are doing. Are they up toward the ears, relaxing them away? It's really interesting when we start to pay attention to what different areas of the body are doing. Slowly coming up and then switching over. So this time the left heel is in the center, midline, so in line with the belly button. Taking a deep inhale breath, reaching the arms up. Exhale, folding forward. And noticing the sensations now in the left, outside of the left hip. And breathe into that space. Noticing the quality of the breath now. Where are the shoulders? Relaxing them down on the exhale breath. And then slowly making your way back up. And coming over onto 4-point kneel into tabletop position. We're preparing ourselves for pigeon pose now. So taking the right knee toward the right wrist. Then taking that right ankle, placing it in front of the left hip. And then surrendering the hips down. Now, sometimes what can happen is you can roll onto that right hip. If that happens, just placing a block underneath the right sit bone or right glute, outer thigh. You can have a cushion as well. Making sure that the hips are nice and square. Inhale, lengthening through the spine. And then exhale, maybe walking the hands out, exploring here as we surrender down. Now, if it feels better for you, stay up, please do so. Or you can come onto your elbows or releasing the forehead onto the back of the hands. Notice what sensations are coming up in the body. Taking your breath there. And if you could relax the body even 10% more, what would that feel like? And slowly making your way back up and mindfully transitioning into Balasana Child's Pose. So knees as wide as the mat, big toes together, surrendering the heart down. Now usually I'd like to stay in these asanas longer than what I am now, but it's only a short class, so just giving you a little bit of a taste of what is in the yoga classes that I teach. And then slowly coming back up and then mindfully transitioning onto the left side. So left knee to left wrist. Again, using a block if you need to under the sit bones. You can see it a lot clearer this side. How I will use props to make sure that the hips are squared off. And then on your next exhale breath, coming down, maybe onto the elbows. I really want you to feel into the body. Notice how it's communicating with you. Not letting the ego, the mind get into the way as to where it thinks you should be. Your body has this beautiful wisdom. It will let you know if you've gone beyond your limits. Soften and surrender. Soften through the shoulders, the face, the back. And then slowly making your way back up, removing the prop if you have one, and then coming into Balasana Child's Pose. Maybe there's something that came up on that side. Just sitting with that now. One of the reasons why I do a yoga practice is it gives me an opportunity to come within, really notice what's going on within the body. And then slowly making your way back up onto the sit bones, shuffling them forward, and then coming down, so preparing for our final meditation, our final Shavasana. Because we've worked on through the hips today, if you wish to continue to open up into this area, you can come into the first asana that we practice today, which is called Supta Baddha Konasana. And again, if it felt good and comfortable for you, having the right hand across the belly, left hand across the heart, surrendering the elbows down onto the mat. So you still want to make sure that the elbows are supported onto the mat. If not, and this doesn't feel, right for you today, listen to that, honor that. Coming into your normal Shavasana, however that may look like for you. And in today's Shavasana, I really want you to pay attention into surrendering. So in yoga we call this aparigraha. So notice if you're holding on to anything within the body that no longer serves you, any thoughts, behaviors, habits, any worries, fears or concerns. When we hold these into the body, they're called samskaras, and they weigh us down. They're blockages within the body. I invite you to use the breath. Every exhale, releasing and letting go, and letting these samskaras melt away. Slowly start to bring awareness back into your body, bringing small movement to your fingers, your toes. If you're in Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the knees together, extending out the legs. Moving your body, gently waking it up, feeling the energy ripple back within yourself. Moving in a way that feels good and intuitive for you. And then slowly rolling over onto the side. Taking a few breaths here to really integrate, come into rest. And then mindfully, slowly noticing each muscle work. Push yourself back up into a comfortable seated position. Just taking it nice and slow. Notice if you're moving quite fast. Sitting up nice and tall, taking a deep inhale breath. Palms up, exhale, bringing them back into our heart space. I wish you peace. Namaste.